Welcome back to What the Fact. I'm Katie and this is Aaron.
And for this week's look at our ongoing look at the big 2018 midterm races, we're going to Arizona, as I told you. We're looking specifically at a race, the open seat to replace Senator Jeff Flake in Arizona. On the Republican side is U.S. Rep. Martha McSally. She's a U.S. Air Force pilot. McSally won a primary over two very conservative, populist, kind of Trump mold candidates, Sheriff Joe Arpaio and Kelly Ward.
On the Democratic side, Representative Kyrsten Sinema is vying for the Senate seat. She easily won her primary. She had less of a challenge than McSally did. She's really been campaigning as an independent voice who's willing to work across the political aisle. So we have fact checks on both of them.
We're fact checking both of them. Let's start with a fact check from McSally, who held up her military experience as an Air Force pilot, I said, against Sinema's record of military protests. Take a look.
Republican Representative Martha McSally is running a very close race for Senate in Arizona. She's trying to keep the seat in her party's hands. Senator Jeff Flake is retiring. That's opened the door to Democrats who are trying to flip the seat. They're running Representative Kyrsten Sinema against McSally. An attack ad from McSally's campaign claims Sinema protested against troops serving after 9/11, which included McSally.
While we were in harm's way in uniform, Kyrsten Sinema was protesting us in a pink tutu and denigrating our service.
It's true, Sinema protested against the war in Iraq. And yes, that's a real picture of her in a tutu during a protest in 2003. And Sinema has a history of speaking out against war in general. Though she's claimed more recently, she recognizes the distinction between all-out war and military intervention. But Sinema's protests focused on policy that resulted in war, not on the people serving overseas. Her campaign points out she has family members who serve in uniform. Sinema has also backed measures to pay troops more and ensure benefits for veterans. So yeah, Kyrsten Sinema protested the Iraq War in a pink tutu, but that doesn't necessarily mean she was protesting service members.
All right, Katie, so this claim gets our mostly false rating. So McSally was onto something. There's some evidence to support some of her claims, but she really goes off the trail when trying to make the point that Sinema was disparaging, disrespecting the troops.
Sure, and I think it's pretty easy to see what she was doing there. She is proud of her military background, and she did serve in those in that war. Sinema is certainly anti-war. And actually, there are photos and there's evidence of Sinema during her law school days at Arizona State University protesting against the war in Afghanistan and then Iraq. But McSally really pushed the issue too far to say she denigrated our service. I think when you're saying somebody denigrated the military, you're looking for some very strong words and condemnation and really kind of like towing to the line, right? Maybe burning a flag or something. Yeah. And Sinema didn't do that. On this particular day when she was in a tutu, it did coincide, this protest, with International Women's Day. Women's International Day, there was live music, there was dancing. Other people also wore pink outfits. Sinema herself at the time described the event as an expression of creativity and of self. Right. So McSally's not really giving the full context of why someone might be in a pink tutu and talking about the war.
All right, so that's enough on that claim. By the way, did you know, considering it's Sinema versus McSally, whoever's elected in Arizona will be the first female senator from Arizona to represent that state in Washington next year.
Did not know that.
All right, so let's go into another claim. This is from Kyrsten Sinema, saying on her campaign website that she is, quote, the only candidate for Senate in Arizona who refuses to cut Medicare and Social Security or raise the retirement age. Now, she didn't call out McSally, the Republican, by name, but her candidate clearly has a veiled shot saying that among the two, she's the only one, that McSally is the only one who had a vote to eliminate entitlements.
All right, it's time to get into the specific details about this half-true rating. That means the claim is partially accurate, but not telling the full story. Here we go. Sinema has a record of supporting Medicare and Social Security benefits, but we found that her claim is really overplaying, once again, the impact of some measures that McSally has voted for or against. Right. The primary thing you need to know is that there hasn't been a concrete measure or a binding measure that McSally has voted for, though she has certainly signaled some policy preferences that a lot of people argue would cut those programs. In one instance, they actually both voted for an amendment that Nancy Pelosi said would have cut Medicare or Social Security. So there's even more nuance on top of the nuance for telling this story.
Right. That's going to be it for What the Fact for this week. I'm Aaron and this is Katie. We'll see you again next week where we'll break it down and I'll probably say something
offensive
about somebody.
He is provocative. All right. Bye, guys.